Welcome back to Reinvention Real Talk. I'm your host, Karen Larrea, and today we're diving into something that can feel both thrilling and devastating at the same time. Love bombing. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this term, and for those who have not, definitely stay tuned because this is a really good episode. Now, let me tell you about love bombing. Love bombing, the majority of the time, okay, this is what love bombing is. That instant spark, that deep eye connection, the you're my everything I ever wanted within days of meeting you. It feels magical until it doesn't. And for so many of us who are dating in the second half of life, love bombing can cut even deeper than we were younger. Because it preys on something sacred, our hope. Today we're going to talk about why people love bomb, how it affects us emotionally and spiritually, and how to protect your energy while keeping your heart open for real love, the kind that doesn't vanish after that little initial phase fades. Let's dive in because I have received so many DMs regarding love bombing and stories. And listen, hey, I'm going to be truthful here. Even me as a dating coach, I have fallen to love bombing. Thank God I was able to get myself out of it and recognize it for what it was, but this is why I'm here to go ahead and help you guys through it. Let's talk about the seduction of intensity. Now think about this. When someone comes into your life with fireworks, affection, attention, constant communication, it's easy to confuse the rush for the real thing, especially when you have waited years to be seen again. But love bombing isn't love, it's infatuation dressed up as a devotion. Now, it mirrors every single thing that you ever wanted to hear before. But love bombing isn't love. It's infatuation dressed up as devotion. It mirrors everything you've ever wanted to hear before trust, depth, and truth have even been earned. And now here's the thing. When you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and beyond, now a majority of us, we've healed, we've grown, we've done the work, and our heart is still soft. It's still open, wanting to find that truthful, long-lasting love that is going to be there, and you're hoping for the rest of your days. And you want to believe that this time it's real, that the person is the reward for everything you have endured. But intensity without foundation is like building a mansion on sand. It looks beautiful until that first emotional storm hits. Now, let's talk about why people do this, especially in our second half of our life. Like, why are we even doing this? But I'm going to get into the psychology of behind it with you, okay? Not everyone who loves bombs is a narcissist, but every love bomber is emotionally unregulated. Some do it to control securing your attachment before you can truly evaluate them. Some do it to soothe their own emptiness, confusing instant chemistry with soul connection. And others do it because they feel rejection so deeply, they sprint toward emotional intimacy, hoping to avoid abandonment. But it always comes from lack, every single time. A lack of self-awareness, a lack of emotional maturity, a lack of patience to build something real. And when we don't recognize that, we start to mistake intensity for connection, attention for care, and consistency for commitment. Now, let's talk about the emotional fallout, especially in midlife, okay? When the high wears off, the crash is brutal. You're left with questions, self-doubts, and emotional whiplash. You wonder if you imagined it all. You question your intuition. I know. I received those DM from you guys. And it's really hard because you start to question your ability to trust again. And it hurts because love bombing creates emotional confusion. It activates your nervous system, flooding you with dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, only to strip it all away. Now, in the show notes, I'm going to put definitions of what dopamine is, oxytocin, and serotonin, just for those of you who may not understand and you want clarification. All right, it's going to be down there in the show notes for you. Now, your body literally experiences withdrawal from what is happening. You find yourself checking your phone, waiting for their messages, craving the "good morning, beautiful," "hello, handsome" text that once made your whole day and set your whole mood. And in that moment, you realized, this wasn't love. This was addiction disguised as affection. All right, I'm going to share a story about a client of mine. And I never say the real name, so she's going to know that I'm talking about her when she hears the story. But right now, I'm going to call her Elena. All right, Elena was doing so good in dating. We had just gotten her to a place of where she was comfortable going out, being able to meet people on her own. But after a few weeks, Elena, I had not heard from her, and I thought she was doing great. Elena came to me in tears, all right, after a whirlwind 6-week romance. Now, this man had said all the right things, and he told her within the first week, "I have never met anyone like you." How many of us hear that? Come on, let me know. So many people say that line. All right, he wanted to meet her kids. He was planning to take her on a trip. He even planned it out with her. He even mentioned moving in together if things continued on the right path. And because Elena hadn't felt seen or adored in years, she led herself to believe maybe this was finally her second chance at love. She was really excited, she had told me. She didn't think she needed any of my coaching, and this is why I had not heard anything back from her. All right, but around week 7, things shifted for Elena and the man that she was seeing. His calls slowed down, his messages became distant, and then silence. No closure, no explanation, just a void. Elena had to actually ask him, "Hey, what's going on here? I feel like our connection is gone." She had to be the one to reach out and ask him what was going on. And when she got her response from him, that's when Elena said that she needed to see me. So we met up, and as we sat there having a cup of coffee, and she sat across from me, she said to me, "Karen, I feel so embarrassed. After all of the work that we have done together, how could I not see it?" And I told her, "You know what, Elena? You believed in the good because that's what healed hearts do." For all the work she had done, I know it seems a little bit strange, but this kind of happened to her because she had that heart that was open. She had that heart that was soft enough to want to receive a new love. And like I told her, I said, "You know what? You're really not mourning him." Now, what she was, and what the majority of you mourn, is the story that you finally are living. All right, that you finally found that love. And that's what love bombing does. It gives you a dream so vivid that waking up ends up feeling like grief. And from there, you need to start reclaiming your emotional power. You can't back down. You can't go back. You can't beg. That love bomber, he has set off the bombs, he or she, and they have moved forward. So healing after love bombing means learning to trust yourself again. It means remembering you are not crazy, you're not dramatic, and you're not too much for wanting consistency. You're a human with a good heart. You simply responded to someone who activated your hope and then withdrew it without care. So, if this has happened to you, how do you protect your heart now? Let's go over some things so this doesn't happen again to you. Let's go over some of the key things for you to be on the lookout with your eyes open. 1, pause the rush. Don't confuse chemistry for character. This is so difficult because especially when you find someone that you feel you have chemistry with, you gotta wait for the character to come out. It's so important. Number 2, listen to their consistency, not their words. I always say consistency and actions is what speaks louder than words. And sometimes their action continues to follow their words until it doesn't. So you have to kind of be on the lookout for that. Number 3, keep your independence early on. Don't abandon your routine, your friends, or your self-care. Keep that self-love alive within yourself. And remember, true love feels safe, not dizzying. That is a huge one, my friends. Because that intensity, those butterflies feel so good inside that you want to believe it's true, but that's not where it feels. Sometimes the boredom, the humdrum, that dating that is going really slow and you're like, why is this not moving? That's actually the person that is probably for you. You just got to take your time. And if you've ever been love bombed, please know that you weren't naive for believing. You simply were open-hearted, and that is your power. But moving forward, let your love have boundaries. Let your intuition lead, not your loneliness. Because real love doesn't need to overwhelm you to be felt. It just is. Now, I want to go a little bit deeper from that, okay? Let's talk about the mirror effect in love bombing and what love bombing reveals about us. Because sometimes love bombing works on us because it touches a wound that we have not fully healed. Maybe we grew up craving validation, being praised only when we performed, achieved, or looked a certain way. Maybe our last relationship was emotionally starved and we became addicted to breadcrumbs. So when someone suddenly brings a whole cake with that extra chocolate ganache on top, that whipped cream, some strawberries, and some cookie crumbles on it, it looks so good that we confuse attention with emotional safety. But what love bombing truly does is mirror our unmet needs, and it forces us to ask, what am I starving for emotionally that made me believe this so fast? And that is where you're going to do your healing from this lesson. Because when you start healing the parts of you that ache to be chosen, you stop mistaking intensity for alignment. You stop confusing speed for sincerity, and you realize the love I want must come from a full heart, not a hungry one. Kind of like the saying that I always tell my clients, what are the 2 things that you should never do while you're hungry? Is 1, go shopping for food in the grocery store, and 2, go looking for love. Definitely when you're hungry, don't do either one of those. All right, in love bombing, what is the spiritual side of this? Let's talk about the lesson behind the illusion, because there's also a spiritual layer to this. Sometimes love bombers are teachers in disguise. When it happened to me, this is what the lesson I took away from that, okay? They enter our life to awaken a part of you that still gives your worth away too easily. And that is something that's so difficult to come to terms with. But once you realize that, even though you've healed it, sometimes you may slip. And sometimes these lessons are put into our life to say, hold up, I was healed from this. Why did I slip? And what do I need to go back and revisit so this doesn't happen to me again? Okay? Because their absence, their inconsistency, their sudden withdrawal, all of it becomes the mirror that shows you how much of your emotional peace you've placed in someone else's hands. And while it hurts, it's also an initiation because every love bomber pushes you closer to your wholeness. This is why I give thanks and I am not resentful or bitter or angry when I got love bombed, because it took me back to revisiting of what something I had healed, and I let myself slip, and I had to go back and remind myself of that. And I am so much more now with an open heart and so much closer to wholeness. And every time, my friends, that you reclaim your energy, you send a message to the universe that says, I will no longer settle for an illusion. I am ready for the real deal. So instead of resenting the love bomber, thank the lesson, because they didn't break you. They revealed what was still fragile and what needed a little bit more of healing. And that awareness becomes your superpower. It becomes your strength. Oh, so let's talk about the new standard of conscious love. So what does healthy love look like after you've been love bombed? It looks slower, softer, and realer. It's someone who doesn't rush the story. They co-write it with you. It's someone who's grounded, emotionally available, and shows up even when that initial thrillness fades. They just don't tell you they love you. They demonstrate it with time, respect, and presence. And sometimes maybe the word I love you doesn't come. Maybe it's, oh my God, like I said before, I haven't met anyone like you. Oh my God, you're my perfect match. We're soulmates. You're my twin flame. I've never found anyone like this. Don't let it affect you if it's come too quick. It affects you when I say that pitter patter, that butterfly in your stomach. You got to step back and take a breather and reevaluate and pause and put the brakes on. Because we no longer chase potential, we value peace. We no longer fall for fantasy, we invest in partnerships. And we realize love is not supposed to feel like fireworks all the time. I know it feels good, and exciting, but no, it's supposed to feel like home. That's going to be our new standard. Not how fast someone falls, but how consistently they stay. And you know what? That's when you're going to be able to come home to yourself. So if you have ever been love bombed, please hear me. You're not broken. You're not unlovable. You are simply evolving. And this chapter was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken your discernment, to remind you that the love you give, the way you show up, the way you believe in connection, that's divine. That comes from your whole heart. And you just have to give it to yourself first. Because when you start treating yourself with the same passion, affection, and devotion that you once begged for, you become unshakable. And from that place, real love, conscious, mature, emotionally safe love can finally find you. And each and every one of you deserve that. All right, my friends, you know I love spending this time with you. And if this episode touched you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Tag me, DM me, let me know how this episode made you feel. And remember, your reinvention begins every time you choose truth over illusion, and first in choosing yourself. This has been Reinvention Real Talk, and I am your host. I am Karen Larrea, and this has been Reinvention Real Talk. Until next week, my loves, stay open, stay grounded, and always, always, always choose you.